Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Welcome back.
Howdy, everybody. Happy Thursday. What's up, Juan?
What's up, dude? How we coming through for everybody? Can you guys hear us okay?
Let's see some thumbs in the chat if we're sounding good, looking good. How's your day going, Juan?
It's been pretty chill today, man. I'm just ready for the weekend just to be able to sleep in a little bit. You know, that Taurus energy, you know, we like to sleep in, off to sleep. Going to be celebrating my son's 7th birthday this weekend, so looking forward to that with the family hanging out.
Very good. Good stuff.
Well, are you working this weekend?
Yeah, we got a festival going on this weekend. It's Lake Worth. That's where I am, Lake Worth Beach. This is the most popular time of year. There's a lake. They call it the Lake Worth Street Painting Festival. People come in from all over, and they have artists paint on the street, like draw on the street, do like kind of, you know, big, giant, like 10-foot by 10-foot pieces. They close down the streets. So we're going to be real busy. They say it's like, I don't know, 100,000, couple 100,000 people like come to this.
Wow.
I've been here for 4 or 5 of them, and it's super busy. If anyone ever thought about coming to Lake Worth Beach, this weekend would be a good time to do it. But
never heard of that, dude. It's interesting.
It's pretty
Check
cool.
it out when you're...
It's pretty cool.
So I'm going to ask you a question before we get into it, bro, because we're going to be speaking about Cocoon today, maybe some Atlantis, maybe Fountain of Youth, aliens, extraterrestrials, all that good stuff. Florida has more UFO sightings than almost every other state, according to a report here from 2023. Last I checked, it was number 2 on the list for reported sightings. But with all that said, if you could live forever, Narco, would you want to live forever?
No.
No?
Not in this body. Well, in any body, you know what I mean? Like, we do live forever, but not in the same body, you know?
Yeah.
I'd choose this one every time again.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Watch out, everybody. Yeah, I don't think I would want to live forever either. It sounds kind of miserable. I don't know if you've seen the show True Blood. Ever seen that show?
That's the vampire movie?
It's a series, a True Blood series, where it's like vampires and vampires are immortal, right? This has been a thing throughout history. It turns out that the Fountain of Youth is a reoccurring theme throughout almost all cultures. Today, I want to be focusing more on the Florida aspect of it. And I got some stuff that hopefully you haven't dived into. I'm pretty sure you have touched on it. But when I was making the connections, I was like, man, this is super interesting. So I'm excited to get into it. I think it's going to be a really interesting episode because we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Juan. Let's catch people up a little bit. Juan and I have been doing a little series here. Every Thursday, I think, we've been covering movies, especially esoteric, occult, conspiracy theory movies that were either filmed in Florida, set in Florida, or have a heck of a lot to do with Florida. So this is, I think, the 3rd in this series, the 4th. We had Devil's Advocate, Truman Show, and then I think this one, right? This is the 3rd?
Yeah, with the movies, yeah.
Cocoon.
Done
Yeah.
other episodes, yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing Cocoon. Last episode was The Truman Show. Now, there's a little bit of a connection between The Truman Show and Cocoon. So The Truman Show we talked about, it's like his life is a TV show, simulation theory, flat earth, all these themes came up. Well, something that I almost brought up but didn't really was...
How rude. Who the hell's calling the store at 9:15 at night, dude?
The hose.
The esoteric hose, bro. You want that knowledge.
So, I almost brought up a crappy movie called Ed TV. Just for some reason. I think we were talking about reality TV movies, or this was kind of like Truman Show was kind of the first reality TV movie. Ed TV, I almost brought up. Well, go figure. Ed TV was directed, or at least, produced by Ron Howard. And that's a movie about a man who's knowingly in a 24/7 reality TV show. Before it was kind of a really popular thing. Not really occult or esoteric, so I didn't really bring it up. But guess what? Ron Howard directed that, and then we had already selected our next movie, Cocoon, which is directed by Ron Howard. So now we're at Cocoon. That's just one little connection there between the last one and this one. But Cocoon is a movie. It's somewhat of a science fiction movie, a little bit of a comedy. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a comedy, kind of a goofy movie, 80s movie. And it is largely filmed around, I'm not sure if it's definitely set in Florida, I believe, but it's filmed in and around St. Petersburg, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a couple other, places around nearby out in the ocean and stuff, but St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is around Tampa Bay, right? That's kind of like the western portion of Tampa Bay. And it's on the west coast of Florida, if you don't know where St. Petersburg is. So it revolves around a group of retirees, kind of like three amigos, three good friends who are, living out their days at this retirement facility. They got girlfriends or wives, and they're just kind of living a mundane life. But they sneak in, these three men, they have kind of a tradition of sneaking into the neighboring property, which is a vacant lot. It's a mansion. It's kind of like a villa. It seems like they have a lot of space and a real nice house and a big, fancy, separate pool house, covered pool. So these three fellas, they start sneaking into, or I guess they have been. Once the movie starts, they've already been doing this, I believe. They've been swimming in the pool of the neighboring property. And it's mostly been vacant until where we pick up in the movie. Somebody begins renting the property. And these people are very mysterious who are renting the property, right, from out of town. And we're also introduced to these people who are renting the property because kind of the other main character here, side character, is a boat captain. And forgive me, I don't know any of these people's names. They were either not famous actors or were famous earlier in their lives.
Kind of famous, yeah.
Yeah. This guy was in Rambo, I think.
Yeah, it was one of the bad guys, I think.
And I don't remember any of their names. Excuse me. But these three older gentlemen, they're swimming at the pool until all of a sudden that pool and the vacant property gets sold to a mysterious bunch of people. And this mysterious bunch of people are wealthy. They have enough money to rent out this very, kind of palatial property. And then also we're introduced to this mysterious group of people who are renting this property, because they also rent a boat. They are renting a boat along with its captain, right? They're paying for their own private kind of yacht. And this boat captain, like I said, he's kind of the side character. He also notices these people are mysterious, weird, don't speak much, suspicious. But he needs money. They say they want the boat for a month. They want him to, stick by and help. He says, okay. So these old guys, they're swimming at this hotel, right? We're back to the retirement facility. And then I believe one day, I think they notice that the property is getting rented, and they decide not to go in. Well, then I think a couple days later, they work up the courage to go in, and they say, we're old. No one's going to throw us in jail. Who cares? We'll just go sneak in. Well, by that time, I believe this mysterious group had been using the boat guide, and they'd been diving. And we get to kind of see why they were in Florida, why they came to Florida, why they came here, why they're renting the property, the boat. They're going diving and pulling up these mysterious objects. And they're putting them onto the boat. They're bringing them back onto shore. And then they're putting them in the pool. So that's why they needed the big property. There's a lot of privacy. That's why they needed the pool. So they're putting these mysterious objects, and they kind of look like eggs. They kind of look like coral, pods. Well, eventually they end up calling them cocoons. So this is where we get the title of the movie, Cocoon. They're pulling these cocoons out from the bottom of the ocean, off the coast of Florida, off the coast of Tampa Bay, seems like. And they're putting them in the pool to kind of collect them, store them, whatever. And also we hear just one little detail real quick. We're summarizing here. We're going to go back through kind of detail. But one detail here real quick is that the leader of this mysterious group makes a comment about changing the chemical composition of the pool. He's like, oh, we're not going to need the pool guy. I've got it from here. I'll take care of that stuff. Yeah, we got sensitive skin, okay? So we know that the pool's kind of been altered, and these cocoons are in the pool. So switch gears back to the retirement facility next door. These three guys, they work up the courage to go back into the pool. I think they have their friend with them this time. So I think it's 4 guys now. Or at some point, their friend joins them, so there's 4. But 3 guys from earlier, they say, okay, screw it. We're going into the pool. We don't care if we get in trouble. So they go in. They see the cocoons. They don't know what they are, but they decide to just go in, whatever. Well, they get really, really, this water has like therapeutic benefits. They immediately have their mood is enhanced. They feel young. They start jumping and hollering and, having fun, and they feel 10 years younger. They're all commenting about it. Yeah, that's what the scene shows. They're jumping. They're like, wow, man, look at all this energy. And they're not really putting it together yet. And they're walking away, actually, and they make a strange joke about having hard-ons. Okay. Really weird, creepy, very odd detail for an otherwise kind of tame movie. Well, there's some nudity in the movie too, but whatever. It's not too raunchy. But they make that joke. Well, we're going to see here that was an important detail. And these guys go back home, and they're pounding bitches left and right, okay? These boys are laying pipe like no one's ever seen before.
Knocking the cobwebs out of it.
What? Whereas it was like, oh, everyone's old. Yeah, people hook up in retirement facilities, whatever. Now it's like they can't leave their wives alone, girlfriends. They're cheating on their girlfriends and wives. Everyone wants a piece of it. They're walking like twice the speed of the other guys. Because these three guys have almost like superpowers. They're rejuvenated. They are stronger. They even get into a fight a little bit later in the movie, and they have super strength. And these guys are blue chewed up. Let's just say, okay. These guys, no blue chew needed, just the pool water. Got them cranking. All the girls, the ladies are talking about it. Oh my, what's gotten into Earl? Oh my, I don't know. What's gotten into Martin? We were up all night. Stuff like that. Okay. So words getting, there's suspicions. They don't know what's going on. And they keep going back. They go back one or two times. I'm probably skipping a little bit here, but eventually they're going back to the pool. They get caught. They get caught in the pool. Okay, here I am skipping one big detail. In between, right around this point in the movie, remember that boat guide? That boat guide is getting real curious and suspicious. They're pulling up all these big things onto the boat. They're not telling him anything. They're putting him onto the, into the pool. He's seeing everything, but they're not giving him any information. This mysterious group. So he kind of starts digging around, asking questions, snooping. He sees some suspicious stuff. He's also kind of attracted to one of these mysterious people in the group. It's like three guys and one girl, I think. And she's young and good looking, and he's attracted to her. It looks like she's attracted to him. And then I think he's kind of snooping around the boat, and he considers going up to her or sees her, and then she pretty much morphs or sheds her skin. And it's revealed that she's like a apparition or like some light, some light being. She's just glowing light. She's not human. She peels off her human skin, and she is glowing. And this guy's spooked. He jumps off the boat, gets back on, realizes, I think he jumps off the boat, or he's about to, something like that. Then he realizes everyone in this mysterious group, they're all these creatures. And then they come clean to him. And they kind of say, hey, we are Atlanteans. Or we are Antarians.
We
was Antarians, and they're from Antares, they say. And they say they're aliens. We came to planet Earth, 10,000 years ago. And we called it Atlantis back then. Right here, this is Atlantis, kind of. And this is the spiel he gives him. And he's kind of giving him the truth. But he's freaked out. He doesn't know what to believe, the boat guide. So, there you go. We kind of get an explanation of what they are. Yeah, he peels his eye down. You see he's one of those things too. And this guy, they kind of talk him into staying. They're like, we have important work to do. Will you help us? And he's scared. Whatever. I forget how they convince him to stay and just play ball, but they convince him to kind of chill and play ball. So now we know they're cocoons. Now we know that they are, and they also explain that their ancestors are in the cocoons. Like their ancient Atlantean ancestors are in the cocoons, or their friends. And that their alien civilization had to flee Earth, but some of them had to stay in the cocoons. So they're back to to pick up the cocoons. That's why they're here. That's why they rented the house. They're after the cocoons. So, oh yeah, and the good comment here. It's kind of like the movie's kind of starts out like you're suspecting they are like cocaine smugglers, right? Instead of cocoons, right? And I couldn't help but notice the play on words between cocaine and cocoon. Like they are quite literally cocoon smugglers. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get that vibe too. Like, I mean, I thought they were kind of weird at first too. And I figured they were immortal because they seem successful, right? Like it seems like when people are immortal for a long time, they kind of figured out how to play the system so they can acquire currency like nobody's business. And here we have this. Here's one of the elders, right, in the cocoon that they reveal.
Yep. So that's where we're at. Now we know what's in the pool, what's in the cocoons. These guys are swimming in it. It's like the life force of the cocoons and whatever magic juices were in the water are invigorating these old guys. And okay, so they catch the old guys swimming in the pool. And the three old gentlemen, they witness one of these creatures kind of morphing or taking their natural form, shining, unhuman.
Taking their skin off.
Yeah. And they're playing around the pool. And they're dropping cocoons into the pool and stuff, right? Well, these three guys get caught. They, I think, run out. The police are called. They get apprehended by the police. And the guy next door, the head gentleman in charge, mysterious gentleman / alien, he says, oh, no, they were just seeing stuff. They're old. They don't know what they're talking about. And the workers at the retirement facility are saying the same thing. They're like, you guys are crazy. And they say, okay, we'll cut you some slack, be on good behavior. So the three old gentlemen, they can't go back to the pool, right? They're asked not to come back. Well, some time goes by. And also I should mention kind of a plot going on at the same time here is that one of their friends is sick. He's too old. He's dying. So when he got to go into the Fountain of Youth, and they start kind of saying Fountain of Youth too in the movie, when he got to swim in this pool, it saved his life. It stopped his illness. And so, but not all the way. He was in remission, or he was heading towards remission. So now they are not allowed to go back to the pool. This guy his condition starts deteriorating, and they're worried he's going to die. So the leader of the three old retired gentlemen, he goes over to the house to negotiate. Hey, can we just swim in the pool, please? We won't say anything about the aliens. I don't know what I saw, but we're not going to say. I don't know what I saw, but I'm not going to say anything. Will you just let us swim? Should.
Persistent, dude.
Saying, can we just swim in the pool? He goes, he's got his hat on his chest, right? He's begging. He's like, man, if you could just let us use the pool. Our friend's real sick. We won't tell anybody. And he lets him in. He says, okay, you guys, we got a deal. Don't tell anyone about what we're doing. We'll let you guys use the pool. And he kind of gives him a little bit of the story too. About what's in the cocoons. Well, now the old guys, they're allowed to swim in the cocoons. They bring their wives this time and their girlfriends. So there's extra people. And then word starts spreading more and more that these older people are getting their powers by swimming in the pool. So more and more old people are wanting to swim in the pool, right? And they're spreading the word, and there gets to be almost like a riot at the elderly home where everyone wants to go see the pool and swim, and they all bust out the door and they start running over to the other facility, or sorry, the other property right next door. So they all these old people, right, like a couple dozen, jump into the pool at once, and they're swimming and they're swimming and they're soaking up the benefits. And guess what? It's too many people. They're too old. There's too many old people. They're soaking up all the benefits, and they are, yeah, all the benefits are gone. The mysterious aliens who are renting the property, they come out and say, what the hell? Where's all these people? You know, what are they doing? And they call the police again. The police have to get all these people out, and the cocoons are pretty much ruined, or they're close to being ruined. So, yeah. Then this guy's pissed. The cocoons are ruined. Everyone leaves. I'm blanking on some details here. And then the older gentleman who initially asked if they could swim in the pool goes back to kind of apologize, right? And they start talking, debating, and I forget what else happens, but it's eventually the offer is extended for these older people, the three old gentlemen and however many of their friends, to go back to the alien planet with them, right? And to act as teachers, to teach the people, to teach them about Earth or whatever. And they're promised immortality, or they're promised long, long, long life, right? Okay.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of a long movie, way longer than it probably should be.
Yeah.
It's almost 2 hours long. So it's okay. I missed a couple of things. There was like a schism between all of them where some of them wanted to go to the pool and the other ones were trying to convince them to go to the pool to get healed and their partner to get healed. And they were fighting back and forth. That's where apparently that actor, the old man that punched one of the other actors, actually knocked him out for real, because I guess he had lost an eye at one point and he couldn't really get the depth that he was doing. So he actually punched him and knocked him out cold on screen. So one of the dudes is actually unconscious. It was like one of the fun little things I found in researching the movie, where the guy, even at 70 years old, being an ex-boxer, was able to knock out a young guy, you know, punching him in the face, which was supposed to be a movie punch, but it was a real punch.
What else happened towards the end there? I'm blanking on the
details. They extended the offer. They're like, hey, you guys can come on board. It feels like we have something that you guys would want, right? To the old people, which is living forever, where we're gonna go. You won't age, you won't get sick, and there's room. I think it was like for 30 of them, right? So they're all debating with their family. They're kind of having regrets of like, should we go? We're not going to see our families ever again. By the way, there was a part 2, Cocoon: The Return, which wasn't as big, but apparently it dives more into the story. And they're all just like, you know, saying bye to the grandkids and all that. And I guess when he had told one of the grandkids, one of the characters, he's like, hey, where I'm going, you know, grandma and grandpa are going away. You won't see us anymore, but where we're going, it's going to be okay because we're going to live forever. So the kid's like, what are you talking about? So then the kid's like all sad, and the mom's like, hey, what did he tell you? And the kid wouldn't say. So the night that they're going to leave, which is this night, they all sneak out of their elderly nursing home or whatever it is, and nobody had known where they went. So the kid's mom goes on, is like, hey, something's going on. Like, where are these people going? So a group of them had gone on this boat with this guy, and there's like a chase with like I forgot, like the Coast Guard and like a whole bunch of people. They're chasing this boat because they're trying to get the kid off. The kid eventually jumps off. Then this mist rolls in, right? This mist, which is interesting because the mist has been going around lately. This mist rolls in, and lo and behold, they called in reinforcements, which is the mothership, and it starts lifting the boat up into the sky to take all the people, and then it just sucks them up through the ship, and that's all she wrote. And then the movie ends.
Yeah.
So they got sucked up. I kind of interpreted that as like, hey, now we're gonna be kind of sort of part of the Ascended Masters, right? The Brotherhood of Light, because they're kind of sort of light beings, Pleiadian, blah blah blah. That's the way I took it. Like, right, Elder. You always think of that, like the council or something, and they got a free trip to whatever planet they're from, and they just disappear, and then they have like a funeral for them, like, hey, they're gonna be somewhere else, they're not gonna be here. Some people stayed, some people didn't, and then it just shows the ship flying into like this galaxy or this portal or something like that, and that's when the movie ends. So that's what happens at the end. They take up the aliens on the offer of going to their motherland or wherever planet, and they sail off into the sunset, kind of sort of. So it's not like the happiest ending, I guess. It's honestly, the movie has a lot of old people, and a lot of the criticism that I heard about the movie is that a lot of people, when they were young watching this movie, when it came out in 85 or whatever, 1985, they couldn't relate to it because it was supposed to be like a kids movie, like lighthearted, right? What is it? PG-13 probably, because it's got some cheeks in there. I don't know what it's rated, but it's probably PG-13. And so a lot of people were talking about that they couldn't relate to the story because you don't know what it feels like to be old. You don't know what it feels like to be dying. Well, we're all constantly dying all the time, technically, but you don't know what it feels like to be in a nursing home or something. So they couldn't really relate to the main characters because they were just all old dudes. And it seems like it was almost, it reminded me of The Villages, dude. Did it make you think of The Villages?
Yes, it did, especially when they were laying pipe.
Yeah, exactly. So, which that's a whole other conspiracy in itself, like the whole cult of the villages and everything. We should probably do an episode one day on that. But that's what it made me think of. But there was a lot of stuff, right? Obviously set in Florida, which is big. And then the connections to the number one thing, really, which is the Fountain of Youth. I want to talk to you about the dolphins. There's a lot of dolphins in this movie.
Yes.
And I've heard before that dolphins were actually the Atlanteans at one point, and that they evolved or something or other. Because dolphins, aside from being pretty grapey, because dolphins grape everything. Like they are horny all the time. Yep. Right. So I think they're atrocious for that, because they actually do, like, they gang up on other dolphins and they do that to them. Right. So it's pretty crazy. But they've always said, like, dolphins, if they had thumbs, they would sort of take over the world or something, because they're super, super smart. They actually have two brains. And when they sleep, one brain shuts off and the other one stays awake to kind of keep a lookout for them. I'm gonna pull up a picture of their brain because it looks really crazy.
They're also groomers. They're able to convince straight women to. Yeah, there's this woman who got convinced by a dolphin into a romantic relationship.
Oh yeah, where she was stroking it off. Yeah. I remember that. That was with I think it was John C. Lilly, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
they're. Yep. So some weird study or something where this chick fell in love with a dolphin, and even started, like Juan said, flipping it off. Okay. She was flipping off the dolphin.
She was what they were trying to do was make the dolphin talk. And there's a whole documentary on it. And it was by John C. Lilly, where he began studying how bottlenose dolphins vocalize. And
someone said Free Willy.
Yeah, Free Willy. Right here. So it's called, there's a documentary on it, The Dolphin Who Loved Me, the NASA-funded project that went wrong. And
NASA.
There you go. Margaret Lovett was the one that was stroking the dolphin off, because she said that the dolphin would get frustrated. So in order for her to help it focus on the task, she would just relieve it once or twice, bro. I mean, everyone needs to blow a load here and there, once in a while. And she was doing it to the dolphin.
She said that it would like guilt trip her and tell her like you don't love me and like stuff like that. Like it would manipulate her with
Right
like
here. And Peter was a young guy. He was sexually coming of age and a bit naughty. It was a naughty dolphin, bro.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, we have to hold her to blame at least a little bit for this. But okay, so like Juan said, we know something's kind of weird with this mysterious group who's renting the boat, because everywhere they go, the dolphins are following the boat and following them as they're diving, almost like the dolphins were leading them to the exact spot that they needed to go to. They're very well trained dolphins in this movie because they're like, they're like what's it called, welding underwater and stuff. They're like, what's it called, plasma cutting or some shit like that. They're and the dolphins are just following the boat, following the divers. So there's a clue there because dolphins have always been associated with Atlantis. And we find out that these Antarian aliens are looking for Atlantis, right? But the dolphins, you could say, they were like if there was a time and a place called Atlantis, okay, then it's been said that dogs, like the dogs and the horses of the Atlanteans were dolphins and porpoises and whales.
Really?
And that was, if you ever seen like Waterworld or something, that mankind coexisted, lived with the dolphins much more intimately, like using them like a dog, and seals would be like a dog.
That's cute.
Dolphin would be like a small horse or something. Bigger porpoise type thing would be like a horse. And there's even pictures of old Greek soldiers on dolphin back. Have you seen that, Juan?
No. Was it like Roman or something?
I think it's Greek.
Yeah, I think I've seen. Yeah, I might have seen that. So, repeat that again. The Greek on
Greek soldier on dolphin back.
Yeah, so the young man riding a dolphin is a symbol of rescue by dolphins. Here, let me pull it up.
Ooh, Arion.
There we go. Arion, yes.
That's Arion. That's who I named my cat after. But soldier, you gotta search soldier, Greek soldier on dolphin back.
Is it this? Is it this one?
Oh no, the vase on the right, the orange vase. Yeah.
Oh, with that thing. Remember that thing?
Yeah, let's zoom in on that bit. It's got the triacrian on his shield.
Yeah.
So, there is some kind of historical basis for this.
They even got the cheeks on there too, bro. Look at
that. Yeah. Did you hit it if a chick had 3 chicks?
3 legs like that?
The chick had 3 cheeks.
The 3 cheeks? Man.
3 legs, 3 cheeks?
Probably, bro. Got that doll hussy, bro.
The blow hussy, blow hole.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say the porpoises. You can't say it with that word because you actually say the word.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So let's start from the beginning of the movie again and decode the esoteric symbolism, like we said we were gonna.
Yeah, let me pull it up because I don't know, for some reason the connection is like super slow when I go to do the movie.
Right. Yeah. Well, here, while you're doing that, we can maybe just ask the question: why would they set this in Florida? It's a movie about Atlantis and the Fountain of Youth. Now, I think most of you guys out there should know that's my bread and butter. That's what we do on my YouTube channel. Atlantis, the Fountain of Youth in Florida. I mean, this is like the #1 movie If you're talking about
St. Pete out of all places, right? Which is obviously we talked about on the last episode that it's linked to Scientology and everything. And by the way, for those tuning in, we've broken down Cocoon. We're going to be talking about the Fountain of Youth, Atlantis, Dolphins, whatever comes up. So if you're joining us for the first time, we got 600 people collectively in the house watching us currently. So welcome. Crack a cold one or whatever. Light it up, chill out, hang out. Thank you guys for being here.
Chill out. So we're in St. Pete. And St. Petersburg, like I said, it's on the west coast of Florida. And the Fountain of Youth, which is what this movie is pretty much about, it's been associated with Florida. Florida's been associated with the Fountain of Youth ever since its earliest discovery, so-called discovery, in 1513. So why did they set this movie here? Well, you got a lot of old people in Florida, and you've got a big history, a legacy of the Fountain of Youth, that Juan Ponce de Leon, Spanish conquistador, is said to have, quote-unquote, discovered Florida in 1513 while looking for the legendary Fountain of Youth. Now, whether he was actually looking for that has been brought into question, but some people who wrote about him not long after he did this certainly believed that's what he was after. Like I said, bit of a controversy, but that legend always stuck with Florida. Mm-hmm. So from the get-go, you have this Fountain of Youth myth being associated with Florida. And that makes sense why they put the movie here and where the kind of plot of the movie came from. Now, something that is rarely done is to have the Fountain of Youth associated with Atlantis. And someone who has done that before, that we've seen a lot of on my YouTube channel, is John Saxer. So John Saxer, he lives in Tarpon Springs, Florida, or around Tarpon Springs. He's a Swiss-American mystic, amateur archaeologist, who's discovered the presence of many, many, many ancient sea anchors, stone anchors, very, very large. Look like they could go to 500-foot long ships. And this is what people used before iron anchors, steel anchors were discovered. So John Saxer, I've got a lot of videos on John Saxer and his theories, and he talks a lot about Atlantis being Tampa Bay, around Tampa Bay, off the coast of Tampa Bay, just like the plot of this movie. Now, what's interesting is he never ever talks about this movie. And there's movies that he likes, that he watches all the time and says, see, this one talks about that. I don't think he knows about Cocoon. So here's a good example of one of these anchors. You can see the rope groove and everything. And John Saxer believes that this is evidence of Atlantis. When you look at the dimensions given by Plato for Atlantis, because remember, Atlantis is a Greek myth, and it's attributed to Plato, because Plato tells a story about it, the Atlanticus, which consists of a piece of writing called Critias and Timaeus, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. By Plato. And those two kind of set the stage for the Atlantis myth, as we know it today, are considered the foundation of the myth. Well, Saxer believes that these anchors are evidence of Atlantis. When we look at what Plato had to say about Atlantis, he gives clear dimensions, okay, of the southern Great Plain of Atlantis, 11,600 years ago. Well, guess what? Florida, 11,600 years ago, and I think in this movie they say 10,000 or so, but roughly 11,600 years ago, Florida perfectly matches the dimensions given by Plato. Length north to south and width east to west. Perfectly matches it. I think Plato says 3,000 stadia by 2,000 stadia. Yeah, that's Florida, 11,600 years ago. So we've got the anchors. There is really some evidence, tangible evidence for Atlantis in Florida. And
there's a ton of them too, right? There's not just one. They're like all over. This is just a random one in front of some apartment complex that you guys found.
Yep. These are some of the biggest that we're showing on screen here, but there are hundreds and hundreds just in these neighborhoods alone. Across Florida, there's thousands and thousands. They are especially found around Tampa Bay, around New Smyrna, and St. Augustine area, Ormond Beach area, and that's where I've seen the most. But you can find them in pretty much every corner of Florida, even down to the Keys. And they have rope grooves. Many of the holes are perfectly punched out, but the holes could be natural. You know, people use what's around. The rope marks is what really proves that they were used. And we have anchors just like this displayed in the museums of Florida, but they're the small ones. Anytime they're too big, they can't get admitted to the museums because they say, you know, who used this? This just looks like an anchor. Right.
Someone said in the chat, are there just anchors? Why are there no ruins? And I mean, this is where Bimini Road comes into play, which is not far away from Florida. And I mean, even off the coast of Cuba, I think they found at a crazy depth one point, there was like a city or something at the bottom of there. So do you have anything to say about that? Could there maybe be ruins that have just been hidden or, you know, are being hid by the government or the Smithsonian or something? Like, do you have anything else on that?
Yeah, the Bimini Walls, pretty solid evidence of ruins. Keep in mind, there's not much evidence of a lot of civilizations that we consider to be real and true. There are sites off the coast of Tampa Bay that haven't been really explored. There are pyramidal objects near Bimini. You know, Edgar Casey said Bimini. Bimini's been a name for Florida in the past, but there's an island off the coast of Florida called Bimini. And the Bahamas themselves are littered with ruins. And remember, we're talking 11,600 years ago. Most of the evidence of those cities, remember, people usually live by the coast. And 11,600 years ago, Florida's coast was much farther out, wider than it is today. So all that, you know, all that coveted coastline where people tend to build populous cities, those are underwater today due to sea level rise. Well, those are a couple explanations, but you know, these are ancient people. I wouldn't expect to find, wouldn't expect to find Greco-Roman architecture all over the place. But there's enough to what I've seen to where I can say, yeah, I think there's enough evidence for Atlantis in Florida.
And we've been in the talks, right, of doing a little something. We want to get a feel from the crowd if Narco and I were to do a Atlantis weekend Bimini trip, who would be down? Would anybody be down for that? Would anybody be interested to participate in that? Because we've been kind of tossing ideas around of doing a get together and going out and actually diving at the site where allegedly the Bimini Road, right? Atlantis.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, we've been considering doing like a little ferry boat ride, maybe a small cruise or something like that to one of these places in Bimini or the Bahamas. Probably the Bimini Road. Try and get as close as we can. What would you guys think? Who'd be down for that?
Because they also said that Atlantis spanned from the Gulf of the Gulf of America and all that area there, Florida, all the way to Gibraltar. Is how the hell was it said?
Yeah, from the Yucatan to Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, there we go, which is all the way up into Africa. I mean, that's a whole ways away.
Yep.
Let's see here.
Well, let's so why would they set this movie in Florida? You've got Atlantis, you've got myths of Atlantis near Florida, and I think that based off the timelines I heard in this movie, they're referring to Edgar Casey's Atlantis, Ignatius Donnelly's Atlantis, and ultimately Plato's Atlantis. I think they say 10,000 year timeline there, but Plato says 9,600 years before his time. So let's just call it 11,600 years or so. We're roughly on the general Atlantis timeline in this movie. And Edgar Casey would be one of the first people who kind of brought the magnifying glass over to Florida when he predicted that the Bimini Road would be discovered, or somewhat predicted that. And he said Bimini. Bimini is just a little island off the coast of Florida, closer to Florida than it is most of the other Bahamas. And yeah, it's only a like 10-hour paddleboard ride.
Bro, 10 hours on a paddleboard, bro?
I think it might even be there and back 10 hours.
That's a ride on a paddleboard?
They do it. They do groups from here, Lake Worth to Bimini and back on a paddleboard. A group of like 100 people in like a pack.
Let's do that for the get together. We don't have to take the ferry. The ferry can just pass us by, dude. We're just gonna be on our paddleboards, just cranking away, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds wild. That seems like that would be a crazy trip.
They do it once a year for like charity or something. And they have like a couple jet skis go with them, but other than that, it's just like a bunch of moms and daughters on like paddle boards. But okay, so Bimini in Florida, super close. I mean, you could get there in a canoe easy if you were a Native American. We're not talking a big long distance. It's like 45 miles or something. So there's a historical basis for Atlantis in Florida, whether that's Edgar Casey's predictions, whether that's the work of John Saxer, which kind of started up a little bit after Cocoon, but still they're pulling at the same thread, I think. That's why we're in Florida. Fountain of Youth, Atlantis. Makes sense. And this is a big gravy drop. You could look at this as a total kind of Hollywood disclosure. They're kind of telling you, yeah, Florida is the Garden of Eden. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Florida is Atlantis. This is a goofy comedy movie, but don't tell anybody. So this might be the confirmation we're looking for, guys. Just kidding. It's Ron Howard. He sucks, but...
So you're going to get a kick out of this because I was, Atlantis, Fountain of Youth. I asked you on the last stream, where did the idea of the Fountain of Youth come from? Like in Florida in particular with Juan Ponce de Leon, which I always wondered even as a kid, like that's what we were taught in school, right? This legend. So, and again, it's gone back even to the 3rd, 4th, 5th century. Like there's all these other stories that talk about a fountain or a river in Christianity, right? The baptism is very important. It's almost like a rebirth or rejuvenation, absolving you of your sins, things like that. So water itself holds power. But when they say, hey, these waters, if you bathe in it or drink in it, will cure your ED and make you young again, that's hitting the nail on the head. Like, hey, boom, that's something, right? Is it a real place? Is it not? So I traced the origins back to where this idea came from. And you're going to get a kick out of this because Gonzalo Fernandez de Oviedo y Valdez,
who I told you about,
who you told me about, but did you know he also created one of the first pictures of the pineapple?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Right? Old person swingers club. Is that where we're going with this? That the retirement facilities have pineapple logos all over them?
Hey, I don't know, dude. I mean, the pineapple became that symbol for a reason. So
yeah,
we take it for what it is. But this guy, I read his name Oviedo, right? So I was like, I wonder if that's where Oviedo, Florida comes from, but it's Oviedo. And I don't think it has a connection. I haven't looked that far, but was a Spanish soldier, historian, writer, botanist, and colonist. He was obviously participating in the Spanish colonialization of the West Indies, arriving in the first years after Christopher Columbus became the first European to arrive at the islands in 1492. Now, here's where he introduces this story, and it's only in passing, and I have the original text. So in his chronicle, Historia General de las Indias, published in 1535, to expand on his 1527 summary, La Natural Historia de las Indias, was one of the primary sources where this idea of the fountain of youth. This was and by the way, he introduced Europeans to the hammock, the pineapple, and tobacco, as well as creating influential representations of colonized people of the region. So here we have it in 1535. This book, I found it on the internet. Thank God archive.org is back up. I was able to pull up the text from 1535, which is in Spanish, where he speaks about De Leon looking for the aquella fabulosa fuente de Bimini. So he's talking about that fabulous fountain of Bimini. So he relates it to Bimini, que publicaron que los indios que tomaban a los viejos mocos. And I had to look up this mocos word because I was like, mocos is snot and booger, like in Spanish, but mocos is boy. So tornaba a los viejos mocos, so turn the old men into boys. And then it goes on here. And mismo, he calls him Johann Ponce. En tanto que le turo aquella. So he's looking for it. And then where is it at? There's another part of it.
Disfunción sexual.
Right here, yeah. Inflaquecimiento del sexual.
Right.
Tornarse en sus hechos mocos. So he's talking about that
sexual affliction.
Well, here's the thing. So here's a little fun fact for you. So this is 1535, right?
Right.
After De Leon had been alive, right? And what's interesting about this thing here, which I was doing some research on, that the reason that they add this ED aspect of him being impotent, right, and not performing sexually, and by you drinking of these waters, which he had heard from the Indians, these stories of,
right,
it would turn you young, and it would also give you some potency, right? Yeah. So apparently this was a hit piece towards De Leon to kind of tarnish his reputation as he was already a little man, but hey, he was a little man and also couldn't get it up, right?
Right.
So they kind of put that in there to take a jab at him, because this is it, bro. This book is super long, and this is the only part here where it talks about De Leon and the fountain of Bimini, this mystical fountain, right, that he talked about. So again, you could take it as none of them present sources, by the way. The next person in line to talk about the fountain of youth, Hernando de Escalante Fonteneda,
right,
Spanish shipwreck survivor who lived with the Native Americans of Florida.
Well, here, I just real quick about him having a sexual dysfunction. Some other people wrote about it, and they said that some of the evidence, that could have been true, was that there wasn't a single man in Florida that the Spaniards could find who had ED. And they had always wondered whether it was the smoking of tobacco or the drinking of Florida water that kept them, with such virility, vitality. So there is something to it that, yes, Florida was a land of virility, you could say.
Okay. Again, it was a hit piece. Maybe he could.
Well, it's theorized because Oviedo might have been allied with the son of Columbus, who was the direct competitor against Ponce de Leon because they wanted to take over Cuba or Jamaica. They had a dispute over who would get what. And Ponce de Leon ended up with Puerto Rico, but is it true that Columbus's kid ended up getting Puerto Rico?
Yes, and too? he sent De Leon over to some other islands that he could use to monetize them and all that. And apparently he got shot by an arrow and then just ended up dying from sepsis. So obviously he didn't find this. I read other legends where he was looking for gold.
Well, here, let's read what Fontaneda had to say.
So you got the lowdown on Fontaneda if you want to give us the breakdown of him, because you were the one that told me about this guy. Do you want to do that, or you want me to just read this?
Well, yeah, read that and I'll pepper in.
So he was a Spanish shipwreck survivor who lived among the Native Americans of Florida for 17 years. His 1575 memoir, Memoria de las Cosas y Costa y Indios de la Florida, is one of the most valuable contemporary accounts of American Indian life from that period. The manuscript can be found in the General Archive of the Indians, blah, blah, blah. So he also wrote, source, trust me, bro, in 1575, again, very short, it's just a paragraph, you can find it, where he talks about De Leon looking for the River Jordan. Okay, so we have this connection to the River Jordan. The Jordan that is talked of is a superstition of the Indians of Cuba, which they hold to because it is their creed, not because there is such a river. Juan Ponce de Leon, giving heed to that tale, the Indians of Cuba and Santo Domingo went to Florida in search of the River Jordan, that he might have some enterprise on foot, or that he might earn greater fame than he already possessed and close his life, which is the most probable supposition, or if not for these subjects, then that he might become young from bathing in such a stream. So this thought was of itself proof that all must have been fiction that was told by the Indians of Cuba and its whole neighborhood, who to satisfy their tradition said that the Jordan was in Florida, to which at least I can say that while I was captive there, I bathed in many streams, but to my misfortune, I never came upon the river. Anciently, many Indians from Cuba entered the ports, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he keeps going on, and that it was this sort of hoax, right? This superstition that they had.
No. You're such a skeptic, dude. Just come out and say, "Oh my God."
Listen, I'm not saying that there's no fountain. I got some stuff today for you. I got the heat for you, which again.
Well, here, did you get to talk about Sequin in here? Sequenye?
No, I just got fountain you stuff.
So basically, I think it might say here at the bottom, but Fontaneda was shipwrecked and lived with the Calusa or some groups around the Calusa. He probably got traded around a little bit, but he spent a lot of time with the Calusa, and he got to know their king Carlos.
Oh, right here, yeah, it is here. King Carlos.
Yeah. So I think what Juan's pointing out here is that we don't know if Ponce de Leon was actually looking for the Fountain of Youth. We don't have his record.
We do.
Hang on. We have his navigational accounts, right?
Yes.
We don't have his personal thoughts and journal and diary. Correct. So they have kind of where they were, what they were doing, but you don't get him reflecting on the day and things like that.
Yes.
So We don't know what his real motives were. It wasn't uncommon to keep your motives secret back then, but it seems like everyone who heard about him and heard the story was all of the consensus that it had something to do with this Fountain of Youth in Bimini. Now, Juan brought up another good point about Bimini. Well, Bimini, before Juan Ponce de Leon, what we do know, before Juan Ponce de Leon came to Florida and renamed it Florida, its name up until then had been Bimini. So today, Bimini is just the small island. In 1513, all of Florida was known as Bimini, Bimini or Baymini. So when we say waters from Bimini, there's not much water in Bimini. There's a couple springs. There's one that they say is good for you. Florida is the highest concentration of freshwater springs in the world. It is the Fountain of Youth. We have the fresh water springs. We have a couple warm and hot springs. Super therapeutic. You can drink the fresh water. You can bathe in the mineral sulfur or hot water. Really, really good for you. I think something that is convincing is that we get evidence of where Ponce de Leon might have heard this, or the people who thought Ponce de Leon was doing this, where they got the inspiration for the story, is that there was a Calusa chief who was either from Cuba or had mixed with Cubans. And I believe it's from Cuba. This chief named Sequin, or Sequeña, Senquin, whatever, he got a group together because they themselves had heard legends of mythical waters in Florida. So they get on boats or canoes and sail to Florida, and there they mixed with the Calusa people. And I guess one of them ended up, rising up the ranks, becoming chief. The stories differ here. I've got two accounts. One that Sequin was that Calusa, Carlos, the king, that he himself was descended from these. He himself was from these Cuban Indians. Another version says that the Cuban Indians were allowed to stay there by the chief, and the chief didn't have their blood, but they were allowed to stay. Now, this is kind of relevant because hundreds of years later, when all the Indians in Florida end up leaving with the Spanish in the 1760s, many of them go to Cuba. So there still must have been some strong tie or bond after 200 years or so. And there is a native basis for the Fountain of Youth legend. Right, that's kind of all I wanted to say is maybe Ponce de Leon wasn't looking for it, but there was legends at that time going around. So that's all I wanted to say.
And also it said here, Casica took information sought after. The river could be which did good such work, even to the turning of aged men and women back to their youth. So he's talking about King Carlos and this Senquene or Sekine. So that's 1575, where we get this other story linking De Leon to this Fountain of Youth. Now,
well, also, just real quick, in 1562, 64, the French had been meeting Timucua Indians on the other coast of Florida who were claiming to be 300 years old. So we have that too. The Timucua Indians on the east coast of Florida, they look like they're 300 years old. Some of the chiefs are claiming to be 300, 350 years old. And the Frenchmen believe them. They said they look like they're 300 years old. And they said it's because of how they ate. They fasted and their feasts were timed perfectly and all this stuff, but they were kind of jealous. And they said, yeah, we should really start eating like they do. But so yeah, more legends, more stories.
Another guy, I forgot to put his name down here. 1601. I gotta go back to my notes to find it, but this guy, 1601, he was also a historian. Let me find his name here real quick. In 1601, also published Again, it was a big tome book. This guy's name is let me find it here. I think
Herrera?
Yes, Antonio de Herrera y Tordesillas. Unreliable History of the Spanish in the New World. So again, this is from Wikipedia, but I found the original source in which he talks about De Leon, again, finding Florida, and then busca aquella fuente o río que decían los indios que lavándose los viejos en sus aguas, they become that word mocos again. So we have them becoming from old viejos to mocos, which is boys. Okay. And then it's just this section here. Boom, la fuente que buscó Juan de Ponce que renovaba los viejos.
Bro, can you even speak Spanish, dude?
Yeah. Yes, bro. But you see this fucking text? Look at the S is an F, and it's kind of hard to see what the hell it says.
So you don't speak English. You barely speak Spanish.
Yes. Sí, señor. Sí. Sí, cabrón. Yes. You know what that is? That means my precious in Spanish.
Thank you.
So we have this other account, and it's just this part right here, and then he moves on. Boom, to the next thing, and that's it. And then in 1890, let me find it here, 1894 or something or other, there was another guy, Washington Irving, who had allegedly published a fictionalized story of De Leon's travels, and he focused mostly on the Fountain of Youth aspect of it. So that sort of solidified this concept of De Leon with the Fountain of Youth, and it's been here ever since. But like how you said, we don't know if he truly was looking for it because we don't have his personal journals. I'm sure he was probably into the occult or something along those times, right? Or superstitious at least, especially during those times. And as to where De Leon landed in Florida has been speculated, right?
Well, here, you want to keep going?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Some people say Melbourne, right?
Okay.
And according to others, St. Augustine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we have, I just exited out one of my
Fountain of Youth
tabs. Hold up. Yes, the Fountain of Youth Park, which I want to, hopefully you haven't seen what I've found. I'm sure you have. But so we have the Melbourne. He entered somewhere around Melbourne, right? That's where they've calculated that he landed, and that's what's accepted. But then other people, but if they were not con artists or trying to monetize this, which I'm sure they were, talk about it being in St. Augustine. Now, have you talked about this before?
Yep.
So the Ponce de Leon cross at the Fountain of Youth Spring in St. Augustine, allegedly.
That's how the lady built it herself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she said that this was allegedly where the fountain was, right? Because De Leon made this cross and all this stuff. And the lady has a kind of shady background because she was, in my opinion, trying to make it, right? She was trying to build a business. At one point, she was doing illegal gambling in her house at one point. I think she was known as Diamond Lily or something like that, right? This lady. And we'll let the boys pass. What was super interesting to me about this area, let's say that he did land here, and there's like a fountain that you can go there and you can take a sip of it. Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there. I didn't pay to go in though. You have to pay to go in.
We should probably do a video there. We should probably do a meetup.
Yeah.
There at St. Augustine.
Yeah.
So what interests me, which if you know about this, then you know what I'm going to talk about, is that at this site was the good old burial grounds of the Timucua. And after a while, the Smithsonian got involved and they went ahead and reburied what was allegedly about 4,000 burials
Jesus.
Was 4,000 barrels. So essentially, this lady took and desecrated a cemetery of these indigenous people, the Timucua, which we know have interesting aspects to them. The creature of Jekyll Island, John Dee's cottage is built on top of an old Timucuan sacrifice altar, allegedly. That's where the Federal Reserve was born.
And Ormond Beach, his other house in Ormond Beach, not too far. Right next to St. Augustine.
Another mound?
Ormond Beach, Rockefeller's other house.
Oh, his other house. Yes, yes.
His other house in Ormond Beach is built right next to a mound complex, too. And that's right next to, that's in between St. Augustine and Melbourne.
So for a while, these bodies were on display. They were open to the public, and you could look at them. And when you look at them, dude, that's a huge ass skeleton.
Yeah, they were tall.
That's a big. Look at this one. Look at the head of this one compared to this one. It's huge. And mind you, the Smithsonian got involved.
Yep. Okay. I got some good ones too.
So my connection is, let the fake fountain aside. There is a spring there, okay? There is a spring, right? That's coming from the ground.
Yeah.
And let's say it truly was De Leon who made that cross, which you can go and see today, right? The fact that there were so many bodies buried there, they say that they were like the first Christianized, natives of Florida that were all buried there because there was a settlement, blah, blah, blah. But let's put that all aside and let's say that it wasn't. And this had a special significance to these people. And that's why they buried people there. And then you got the whole giant conspiracy lumped into all that because the Smithsonian did come in and they do what the Smithsonian does and covers up evidence, in my opinion. I don't know. I think that this place could be legit, bro. Let me pull up your screen here.
It could be legit. It also touches on the cocoons being, underneath the Fountain of Youth, or the dead bodies being connected to the benefits of the water. Yes, that's totally.
Think about it, Longo. Let's get crazy here. If these people were of some sort of Nephilim descent or something, how people have speculated, right? Like they're giants and they got, did they have red hair? I don't know. Did they?
Not these guys. No.
No, right? So let's say that they were of some divine source. And this movie also plays into the whole Watchers intermingling with the daughters of men. You have the guy having the relationship with the alien chick, right? And they do.
Yeah. Good point.
So you have the fallen, or these light beings, angels, whatever. I'm not saying that aliens are angels, coming down and intermingling with the daughters of men or humanity itself.
Totally.
What if, again, how you're saying the significance of burying the dead, and maybe that does something alchemically or spiritually or something to the soil itself around this spring. It's like even the tree, bro, the stuff where they dump the people's ashes on the family tree because it's gonna, connect it to the family and all that. I don't know. It's super interesting, bro. Super interesting.
What we're looking at right here, Juan's right about the Fountain of Youth, the dead bodies. Another thing tying the Timucua, or at least the Florida Indians, to so-called aliens or Nephilim, whatever, is the skull shapes. Elongated skulls, right? Everyone kind of thinks that's a Peruvian thing. Everyone kind of thinks that's like they find those in pyramids or whatever. No, you find them in Florida too. They're all over Florida. Elongated skulls. Sometimes they say deformed crania. But this is from Amelia Island, which is right near the border between Florida and Georgia. Over near Jekyll Island, not too far from St. Augustine. So the Timucua, or their ancestors, were doing this skull shaping, or they had this skull shape naturally, right? So you've got the elongated skulls. I want to show you a good skeleton, too. Look at that one.
That's wild. That's a tall dude, bro.
Look at this shit. if the person on the left, I believe, is an adult. So the one on the right is pretty dang tall.
Whoa, that's wild.
Pretty wild. And this is the same burial site. Elongated skulls, tall freaking skeletons. Right. And everything we hear about these people, they said that the chiefs were 8 feet tall. 8 feet tall. Goliath in the Bible is 9 feet tall, so we're not far off there. Now also, what else can we say? Well, Juan, can you pull up pictures of warm mineral springs? Or just go to the Wikipedia for warm mineral springs, Florida? I think this is the money. This is the jackpot for the Fountain of Youth angle on the west coast.
Jackpot.
West coast of Florida. So this isn't exactly St. Petersburg, but it's not far.
Near.
This is in Northport, Florida. Warm Mineral Springs is a water-filled sinkhole located in Northport, Florida, a mile north of US 41. The primary water supply is a spring vent deep beneath the pool's water surface. Warm Mineral Springs is the only warm water mineral spring in the state of Florida. It is an important geological and archaeological site containing Native American remnants. The site was operated as a spa from 1946 until 2000. It was added to the U.S. National Register of Historic Places on November 28, 1977. The springs reopened for swimming only in 2014.
This is the documentary we saw, right? Where they were going down and there was people from all over the world coming here to swim.
So, guys, this area is significant because Juan Ponce de Leon's second voyage, he was killed, or he was mortally wounded with a poisoned addle tip, possibly dipped in the manchineel fruit.
Wow.
Considered the most dangerous fruit on Earth that grows on the south coasts of Florida.
Whoa.
He was mortally wounded by a spear point, probably dipped in the most poisonous fruit on Earth. So he died a little bit later on. But this was his second voyage to Florida, I think in 1521. So his first trip, 1513, second trip, 1521. He dies after that second trip. But where were they headed? We know that they were pretty much headed to Northport, Florida. That his second voyage, it seemed like they were heading to warm mineral springs. So the history of this place is that Juan Ponce de Leon, they say, the legend is that Juan Ponce de Leon was looking for this place. This is the Fountain of Youth. It's not the one that you can drink. This is one you'd bathe in, right? So hundreds of places around Florida claim to be the Fountain of Youth. Personally, I think it's the whole state. I think it's the whole thing. We have all the fresh water. We have some of these special mineral springs to the warm mineral. I think it's just the whole spa therapeutic experience of being in Florida, having them all at your fingertips. Some are good to drink. Some will make you, let's talk about this too. Might as well. There are animals. Is there evidence for the Fountain of Youth in Florida? Yes, there is. There are animals who live in the Florida springs, in the water, deep where they don't get any sunlight. And these animals live 10 times longer than their surface counterparts, or the exact same species that just simply live elsewhere, above ground or somewhere else. Let me give you some examples. And Juan, you can look this up if you want. The Florida crawfish, blind Florida crawfish, and then the Florida blind salamander, or Florida Springs salamander, or Florida Springs crawfish. That might be what they're called. Florida Springs crawfish, or Florida cave crawfish. Can you look up the lifespan, please? Now, I know that these can live up to 100 years. Up to 100 years. Well, if you can't find, I have evidence. It's in my other videos. I can speak confidently on this.
Source, trust me, bro. Or
no, source is one of my other videos, the Fountain of Youth one, probably. The salamander will say it. Florida blind salamander lifespan.
About 5 years.
Oh well, that's not the blind. You say blind crayfish.
Or
they live 100 years.
Yeah, let's talk. Well, will the RV Association let us know how long?
Don't worry.
No, get wrecked. They don't want us to know about this salamander either, bro. Lifespan doesn't come up. You're gonna have to pull up your sources, brother, because Google is suppressing me. Says 3 to 55 years here, but this is the Texas blind salamander. That one?
Oh yeah, is that one? Or we have? Do you see 100-year lifespan on that?
I don't know. They might be.
All right. Well, it's good. No. I'm right. I'm right on this one.
Okay. I don't know, Doc.
Well, 100 years.
Right here. The Ohm salamander can live over 100 years, making them outliers compared. Well,
no, that's not from? That one. I don't think that's a Florida one. Could be, but no. So there's a blind salamander and there's a blind crawfish that live in Florida that live up to 100 years. They, on average, live to 5, maybe 20 at most. Okay? 100 years. I've got the evidence. I
trust you, bro.
A Google search isn't maybe not gonna. No, our little AI bot here is not our friend. No. Okay. I've got the evidence. Check my Fountain of Youth video, the radioactivity, all this stuff. Whatever it is, we know that there's something special because they don't need sunlight. Whatever they get from the spring water, it's so nourishing that they don't need to see the sun. So they go blind. They go albino, kind of.
Look at this. Look at the AI, bro. There isn't much information about a lifespan study of the Florida blind spring salamander.
Don't worry. I got you. I got you. We'll come up with it.
Okay.
Don't worry. I can produce the evidence.
All right. That's Mandela right there.
No, it's out there. It's out there.
So I was gonna say something I completely forgot. Yeah, so this spring is the one that we saw the documentary on, right? Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say about all that shit. All right, what else we got? We got let me find some other stuff here. We talked about the aliens. You want to talk about aliens a little bit after this?
Yes, yeah, sure. But here, the War Mineral Springs is important because remember, they've got their dead or dying or hibernating loved ones in these cocoons at the bottom of the pool in this movie. Okay? Now, what? Oh, yeah, you don't have to pull this up. I was just looking for something.
My bad.
But yeah, there's evidence of that at least. So, War Mineral Springs, southwest coast of Florida. We know that Ponce de Leon was heading to that area when he got mortally wounded around 1521. Okay? That spring has very, very unique properties. I'm getting some feedback here. You got your phone?
I think so. Yeah, I'll turn maybe my watch. I'll turn it off here. So sorry, Dad.
That's all right. So he's heading for War Mineral Springs in southwest Florida. He's mortally wounded. He doesn't get to go there and check it out for himself. But many of the residents who live there today, this spring kind of has like a cult following. Thousands of people from around the world over the decades, past couple decades, have moved from places, especially like Eastern Europe, Poland, Ukraine, Russian. They come to Florida just to bathe in warm mineral springs every single day. They have like a yearly membership or something. And if you live in the community's, the little town there is largely built around this spring, right? It's like kind of the number one draw to the area. All these Europeans, they fully believe it's the fountain of youth. They go there religiously every day. They walk in a circle. It's almost like the fucking Kaaba, okay? There's a constant like spiral. Everyone's walking in the same direction, and it creates like a current. And if you just kind of like float, it'll like lazy river you around because everyone's walking in like a loop. In the middle of this, it drops down 200 feet down. And down at the bottom there's like a mound of sand, like debris that's fallen down. And in that debris, there are the bones of mammoths, giant sloths, extinct animals from thousands and thousands of years ago. What else is down there? There's humans, some of the oldest humans ever found in the Americas. And many of them are ceremonially or ritualistically interred. So like almost mummified and put into like caves in the walls. And then the water filled this up, thousands of years ago. So we know that those people were put in there thousands of years before, or at least before the water rose. So it's a pretty reliable method of dating. Okay. And they found brains in skulls that they believe are 10,000 years old that were still intact, still had organic brain matter, intact. And they find stuff like that there pretty consistently.
Which, think about that, right? So we were talking about the St. Augustine, and this comment is important. This comment is very important because think about that, right? Ancient brain matter in that spring. If we're
preservative,
let's say that some of these people maybe were more divine or something, right? Let's just say for 1 second. That would make sense as to why they buried those other ones in St. Augustine near the spring, so maybe it could leach into the water or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that same premise, and this is why maybe this spring brings its rejuvenation aspects to you because you're bathing in some angelic soup or Nephilim soup or something. Essentially, is what you're doing.
Yeah. You can also look at it as whatever's in the water preserving the old 10,000-year-old brains. Also, might be able to preserve a living person. Have you ever heard like there's people who say, oh, preservatives are so bad for our food, they're so bad for you, so bad. Meanwhile, like the average lifespan has gone up like 20 years, not consistently, not across the board, but some say the preservatives are preserving, like they can preserve you too much, right? That's why we're all refrigerated now, like the air conditioning, we're like on ice almost. The average
we're Walking
person.
Dead people, bro, is what we are.
So sleeping or swimming in this mineral spring, people, they're literally bathing in brain soup. They're bathing in the 10,000-year-old remains of ancient Floridians. And maybe that is the secret recipe, the secret ingredient to the Fountain of Youth. There's also radium in this water. And Juan, let's especially hone in on St. Petersburg. You still there?
Yeah, I'm just blown away because of what you're saying. Because, like, what if that's the secret? What if these people were put there ceremonially as like a sacrifice, bro? What if this is a sacrifice spot? Hey, they just buried there. No, they sacrificed them and then put them there. Maybe they put them there. We don't know.
Yeah, no, that word has been tossed around.
Or they dumped them in the hole, dude.
Yes. Yep. They also believe it was like they would trap or get big game to fall in there and they wouldn't be able to get up, So this place held great ceremonial significance to the ancient Indians, especially if you go back to Atlantis times, 10,000 years ago. This place was actually just a big, deep cave. It was largely dry. There were stalactites dripping down. Okay? Someone says I'm clipping. Can you hear me okay?
I was going to say, just pause for a second. Let us know if you guys can hear Longo, okay? And by the way, we have 856 people. We had 900 people earlier collectively watching us. Welcome to the Old World Florida and Juan on Juan podcast collaboration Thursday night streams. We're going in on the Fountain of Youth, Cocoon, Aliens, Atlantis, jerking Dolphins off, all that good stuff. We're here. And
getting flippered off. So, and we're doing a little Cocoon. I sound better?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay. We're doing a little Cocoon, snoring a little Cocoon while we're at it.
Well, dude, you're kind of making me want to visit this place and like suck in all the water, but at the same time, like, brother, because you're in just organic, ancient organic matter
Yeah, I've been here a couple times. I love it there. I love bathing there. It feels really good. The water feels nice. The people are nice there. It's like all shit. How do I say this? I'm gonna have to put a few sentences in between that sentence and this sentence. It's like 99% white people there. Like I was the darkest, most ethnic person there. It's all like Polish, Ukrainian, Russian. You don't even hear English when you're there. Everyone's speaking something Slavic. Everybody.
Whoa.
And I've seen maybe one or two black or brown people who were clearly not from Eastern Europe go there. And when I was there with my ex-girlfriend, we stuck out like sore thumbs even.
I mean, I'd probably stick out like a sore.
Yeah. They're welcoming. Don't get me wrong. But it's like when you go there, they've got their Ukrainian music playing. They're all talking. They're all friends. They're all like, it's a community.
Longo, what if the aliens are actually the Aryans, right? Like, what if it was the Chinese? It was like, holy shit, it's the Aryans. And it was actually the because that's the brotherhood, the white shining, right? Along those lines.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Let's bring the magnifying glass back over to St. Petersburg, though. Because St. Petersburg has their own Fountain of Youth. Could you pull up some pictures of that, please? If you just search St. Petersburg, Florida, Fountain of Youth, 1920.
I'm only pulling it up because you asked nicely.
Or just Florida Memory. You don't have to search 1920, but Florida Memory has a lot of good postcards and old pictures.
Florida Memory?
Yeah, lots of Indian mounds in St. Petersburg area.
This one?
Yeah, all of them.
This one?
All of them. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, as long as we can zoom in on them.
Are those colored people?
Those are old people. I think it's just colored in. Like they took a postcard and like colored their skin in later. I could be wrong.
Just making sure. I thought that they had their own fountain. All right, I'm sorry.
Zoom in so we can see them.
All right.
This is in St. Petersburg, guys. I've been here, or at least what's the modern version of it. They redid it a little bit. But there used to be a Fountain of Youth in St. Petersburg, a couple of them. And this one, I believe, they detected lithium in the water. And the lithium, it is proven, it's a mood enhancer, right? So, they take lithium, which is like the artificial lithium or whatever that people get prescribed. This has naturally occurring lithium in the water. So you drink it, your mood is enhanced. Maybe I don't know how rejuvenating these waters are, but it'd certainly make you feel better, feel younger, have more pep in your step, like the older people did in Cocoon, right? They definitely felt better. They were happy, and a lot of them were probably prescribed lithium in the movie, if I had to guess, something like that. But St. Petersburg, just like sites all over Florida, many different places claim to be the Fountain of Youth. They have a little touristy place for people to drink or get their picture taken. St. Petersburg had one. They have a couple, actually. If you go back to the search results, Juan, please, there is another one in St. Petersburg where it goes out.
Which
there.
one?
See where it's like the lake, like the border? Yeah, that one. Yeah. That's a different site that went out into the bay.
Hmm.
Can we zoom on that a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is another one in St. Petersburg that I think you went out into the bay, and there's an offshore like vent, or like the spring water comes up out of the salt water with such magnitude that you can pull up fresh water. There's a couple of those around Florida, especially one couple off Tampa Bay.
That's crazy.
So there are a couple Fountain of Youths in St. Petersburg, and they're not far from more mineral springs. So some people say lithium helps sperm mobility or motility.
What was the one that you drank from on that video? Was that in St. Pete?
Radium Springs. It's really, really close to warm mineral springs. That's Punta Gorda, which is close to Northport. That's the radioactive Fountain of Youth.
You should get that water tested to see what's actually in it. Is there studies of what's in it?
Yeah, it has radium and lithium too. No. Well, here we got it. We should probably. What else do we want to cover? We spent a lot of time on the Fountain of Youth.
I wanted to talk maybe a little bit about the aliens. Maybe if you want to talk about that, with again Florida being the center where they launch allegedly.
Right. So Florida being Atlantis is a myth that kind of gets associated with a lot of alien theories too, like ancient aliens, whatever. A lot of Atlantis stories talk about extraterrestrials, something like that. And the Aryans, you have a lot of old kind of researchers connecting Atlantis to the Aryans, the root race theories, the theosophists, and how do you say this? Anthroposophists. Yeah. Talking about Atlantis and the Aryan root race, right? You also have some people connecting it to aliens, right? Like I said. So Florida is not only this reputation as a Garden of Eden in Atlantis, it's also where Earth kind of first started reaching up into the heavens. This is where man chose to launch up back to the heavens, right? It's almost like a Tower of Babel type thing, taking the Garden of Eden legend kind of full circle, right? It's like, who knows?
Let me ask you a question, Narco.
Yeah.
Because we're at Garden of Eden. There was angels there. There was, some people say Satan or the devil was there as well at one point, trying to tempt Eve. But what are your opinions on aliens? Because in the mainstream right now, we had there was also the Crestview class sighting that we could also talk about, and also the Miami Mall alien incident that happened that we never heard anything about. That there's stories all around Florida. The Typhonian OTO also considered Florida what they call a power zone. And they used Miami in particular, the Magic City, which we know they do a lot of occult stuff there.
World City, too, they call it. World City.
Maybe that's why they practice so much. There's a concentration of that there, because the Typhonian OTO essentially considered it this power zone, and they would do rituals to invoke these alien entities. And they did a ritual in 19 something or other where they invoked an abduction, and the dude got raped by aliens essentially. He was impregnated. This is another episode, but point being that Florida, right, Garden of Eden, and people talk about aliens perhaps being demons of sorts. Could we also consider aliens angels? Maybe, is that wrong to say, or are aliens only bad, and that's why they touch people inappropriately and they do bad stuff to people?
I don't know, man. They're not aliens. I mean, they're not angels. Aliens aren't angels. Personally, I think ancient aliens are ancient Aryans. The people from elsewhere, the people who showed up looking differently with, new forms of technology, a way of life that was, upgraded or whatever. The gods from elsewhere. I think it came down to how they looked with beards being different. The goat beards, god beards. Gods always have goat beards. I think the ancient aliens are the ancient Aryans. That's why they always say Nazis, aliens. This weekend on History Channel, Nazi aliens in the North Pole, followed by North Pole aliens and the Nazis exposed. Then at 10, aliens and Nazis, ? Then at 12, we've got Nazi aliens and Admiral Byrd being a Nazi alien.
Dude, that's 198 episodes and 21 seasons of Ancient Aliens, bro.
Yeah. I think they're hiding the Aryan legacy. That alien is a cover-up for Aryan. Anytime some civilization says, oh, these people came here and, brought us these gifts and, new way of life, they just take that story. They say, oh, thank you, indigenous people, for your nice story. And then they just throw it up into the sky and they say, oh, yeah, this is a space story. This is an ancient astronaut story. I think it's all a scam. Number one, I think, they say, oh, all these ancient civilizations had all this stuff in common. It must have been aliens who gave it to them, right? I think it has more to do with astrology. Everyone's looking up at the same sky. Everyone's looking up at the same story in the heavens, the same shapes, the same proportions. If there's any global language or global civilization, it was one that paid attention to astrology. That's my take on it. And I do think that whoever was networking around the ancient world, they weren't aliens, they're probably Aryans.
And also, Cape Canaveral, when they launched the rockets, I've heard people saying that they launch them towards where Atlantis is, right? Towards the Bermuda Triangle, that maybe
right
at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle is still Atlantis or something, or a portal to another dimension. That's why they launch them. Oh, and maybe that's how you get to space, bro. I don't know. Maybe that's the other alternate dimension reality that is space that we've all been. That is a historical aspect of Florida, and also I would go as far as say that the founding of NASA has occult origins 100% with Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard.
Right.
Where they were doing rituals, stroking it in the desert.
You know what else? You know what else this makes me think of is Charlie Smith, America's oldest, the oldest American ever, Charlie Smith, who was, I believe, living at a retirement home when they invited him to go witness the Apollo launches. And he said he didn't believe it. He said he thought it was fake. He said, ain't no way, no man going to no moon. That's fake. It can't happen. He said, I don't believe it. I saw it on TV. I saw them go, but they're not going anywhere. That's what Charlie Smith said. A little bit of a connection there to the Fountain of Youth and retirement facilities. He spent the last, most old people do, but for him, he was an ex-slave. That was like very unique for him to have made it to a retirement facility in the 70s or so. He was...
My bad. Yep. No, and on that topic, what other movie did Ron Howard direct?
The Apollo movie. He also, what I was thinking about, Ed TV, is ED TV, erectile dysfunction TV.
Yeah, maybe that's why that was a joke in the movie, because that was kind of like out of left field, like, and I got a whatever they said. I think they said boner or something, but
Yeah.
right, that was like a little joke, and I'm like, TMI, dude. But again, it's linked to the legend in the original account. Like, hey, it makes you young, also can get you up.
Yeah.
When you've fallen down.
Yeah, Ron Howard definitely sifted through some of the old accounts, or at least
100%.
heard some of the erectile dysfunction stuff. Ron Howard's also kind of a creep. He's really weird looking. He could be an alien himself. I'm not even kidding. Can we touch on this a little bit? About how everyone who's obsessed with aliens looks like an alien? Stephen Greer.
Oh,
Ron Howard.
Elon Musk.
A little bit. But Ron Howard, like, without a hat.
And he was a child actor too.
Was he?
Yeah, he had a child actor. Let's see here how it became as a child actor, acting in several television series before gaining national attention for playing Opie Taylor, son of Sheriff Andy Taylor, and the Andy Griffith, right? Is that Griffith show, which was pretty famous. No, I mean that's like one of the main shows that people talk about. So again, definitely, I would say a lot of these child actors have interesting upbringings, right? We've seen it time and time again, and it's part of this Hollywood cult, in my opinion, that puts these kids in these positions and then look at them after the fact. You know, the whole Nickelodeon stuff came out. You have Bieber kind of having a meltdown, looking just his inner demons are just eating away at him, and he just looks defeated.
Can we look at a picture of? Oh shit, he has finished descent. Does it say he has finished descent? That would be ultimate Atlantis, Garden of Eden, ancient Aryan connection if he was Finnish. Keyword finish.
Yeah, finish like that. 2 N's, no?
F-I, yeah, 2 N's.
No.
Okay.
How'd you see that?
False alarm comment. Someone commented that. Whatever. So Ron Howard, he's a weirdo. He looks like an alien if you get a good picture of him without a hat. And then can we look at Dr. Stephen Greer, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at him.
Oh, dude, what?
Yeah. Without the glasses. Find him without glasses. Right there.
He knows he's got to wear a hat and glasses. I mean, I'm not the prettiest guy. That's why I wear a hat too. But yeah, dude.
He doesn't look that alien-esque right there. I guess it's more when he's smiling and talking. He just looks non-humanoid. But there we go. That looks good right there.
Also, you're speaking about non-human. What did they do in this movie that a lot of people talk about the elites doing nowadays? They were wearing suits of skin, right?
Yeah. Yes. Skin suits.
The skin suits, which is a super big conspiracy that these elites are, actually men and there's women and blah, 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 right? All this stuff. And they're wearing these skin suits that make them look a certain type of way. Right? And you got Biden with the double chin and all that weird stuff. Go ahead.
Can we look up Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, please? Get a good picture of his face. Or him like looking muscular. Like just looking absurdly jacked. Dude, total alien. Total alien.
Dude is yoked, bro.
He's fucking jacked. This isn't even. You'll see it.
The forearms on him, bro.
Yeah, he looks like
he could stroke a dolphin off to the Pleiadian galaxy, bro.
Look at
maybe that's how he got those forearms, dude. He's just out there in Atlantis, just stroking aliens.
Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last. He's in the last stage of humanity before their jacked forearms evolve into dolphin flippers.
And I've heard people say that he looks like a hairless ape. That's what people like, an albino hairless ape. And what's interesting about this guy, real quick.
Let me present. Let me present, please.
What's interesting about this guy is that he does the CE5 stuff where they summon aliens, bro.
Yeah, guys, come on. Is everyone paying attention to this? Say you're welcome, Dr. Longo, for blowing the whistle on actual reptilians, spoon feeding you. Oh, hey, you want your little Gaia TV fix? You want your little Gaia, soft little mushy Gaia TV content? Yeah, have your little Gaia TV alien content spoon fed to you. Mysteriously well funded Gaia TV, biggest horseshit on planet Earth.
He's a doctor, bro.
Mushiest little garbage fucking. Okay. This guy, if anyone's an alien, it's him. It's fucking him. Reptilian, Antarian, I don't care.
Look at this picture.
He can do nothing but talk about them all day. He looks like one. He's jacked for no reason. Apparently, he's like a medical doctor.
Trauma surgeon or something
Okay.
like that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Tom C.
What'd Tom say?
Hey, Tom C, go get some sleep, buddy. If you hear some hooping and hollering coming from your mom's room, don't come knocking, okay?
What do you say?
Juan and I got a busy night after tonight. I don't know, it's just some annoying Chud. Just Dr. Stephen Greer fan, I guess.
I
Suck
love
Suck it.
aliens.
Suck it, loser. You won't be missed.
Why do you pay attention to people like that, bro? They're gonna have opinions.
If people are gonna go out of their way to be annoying.
Oh yeah,
it's nothing. Yeah, I could care less. Suck my balls. Suck it. Who cares? So, Dr. Stephen Greer. Who else is part of this club? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna be.
I don't know, dude. Your search history is gonna be kind of.
Whatever. All right.
Watch out what you look for, dude.
Totally sus. Yeah, I'm going to be getting weird ads soon. But if you just watch him, he's unusually muscular. Here we go.
Yeah, man. I mean,
dude.
Does that look like a guy who actually knows about like the stuff that he talks about?
Dude.
You think he knows about the aliens? Look at him.
Hang on. Can you full screen me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, can we watch him talk too? He does this. It's insane. I lick my lips sometimes every once in a while. Okay? This fucking guy. It's insane. He's like, put me full screen again.
I didn't watch him talk.
Every 10 seconds. It's infuriating. He licks his lips and he leaves them so wet. Oh. He leaves them so sloppy. He's like an amphibian.
Oh.
Ugh.
Got them wet lips, boy.
Can we watch that? Can we watch his his Vlad?
Yeah, I'm gonna
interview. Oh my god, dude! How people just fucking gobble this shit up is beyond me.
Here we go. Can you did it pull it up? Is it this one? Can you guys hear this?
Vlad TV interview. Yeah.
About this called the Lost Century.
Here, pause it. Put us in front of the video so you don't get copyrighted.
Put us in front of it? What?
Yeah. Put us in front of the video so we don't get copyrighted. Like full screen the video.
Mm-hmm.
And then put our little windows.
Like this?
Can you go side by side? Bro, whatever.
You can click on it too, bro. You have access to it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, let's just be here. You want to be here?
That's good. Right there. Yeah, like that. Right there.
It's called the Lost Century and how to reclaim it.
Let's clown how many times he licks his lips.
Aircraft have been operational since the mid-50s. So between 1940s and 1954, October,
Zoom in a little more.
Research and development where it's going forward at my uncle's company
Zoom in. I
and
can't
others,
zoom in.
Yeah.
based on the retrieval of some early extraterrestrial vehicles. And
Hasn't licked his lips yet, bro.
They cracked the code, as it were.
Might be full of shit, Longo.
Gravity control, electromagnetic gravitics, back in October 1954.
Not one
we know
lick.
This date
Lip lick.
because a member of my team.
Juan, hey Juan, pause it for a sec.
The Naval Research.
Yeah.
I promise you, your life will have meaning beyond just vainly trying to prove me wrong all the time. Okay, you will find meaning in this life beyond just biting at my ankles. You fucking possum. Jesus.
Puerto Rican possum, bro. That
Just
makes
waiting.
sense. 'Cause possums love trash. So it makes sense that we're from the trash
God.
island, dude. Bro.
Jesus Christ. All right, skip halfway through the video when his fucking lips are dry.
See the film
Trust
on
me.
Amazon Prime or Tubi. And
Look at that. What was that?
On a Ring camera. It's on my iPhone Prime or Tubi.
Was it a lick? No, it was
and
like
so it's not on a Ring camera. It's on my
was,
iPhone. So if you could have them contact me, they can send us $1 million tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, do you have these pictures right now?
Bro, let's watch that again.
iPhone. So
Hold
if you
on.
could have them
Look at the
contact me, they
grin.
can send us $1 million tomorrow.
Okay, do you have these pictures right now?
Yeah.
Can you show them on the camera?
Oh, I'd have to fish them out, but
Bro.
yeah, they're pretty amazing, actually. So this is one. Shite
That
head,
was
almost
crazy,
like a beak-like
son.
face. It was at an event we did out in the Arizona desert. This was Tony, who wrote the screenplay for Enemy of the State. And
There he goes.
It was during a reconnaissance up above Tucson, up
Come on, give me a lick.
up at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet.
One more lick. One more lick.
And it was a very unusual series of events happened. We have another one. I don't know if I have that one on my phone. That happened at Joshua Tree National Park about, I don't know, 15 years ago. And quite spectacular.
Did he lick?
He did. He did. He missed
Yeah.
it. Here he goes right here. One more.
About,
One more.
I don't know, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And
They get worse, bro. They get way worse.
I never noticed that about him, dude. I don't watch him. I watched him one time on somewhere he talked, and I got halfway through it and I couldn't finish it. But again, he's one of those guys that they sit around and they're able to summon UFOs. Allegedly, they're able to kind of sort of pray to them and summon them, which I'm sure has been done in Florida.
I've done it. He did one in Florida and he got exposed for apparently lying and setting it up. You know about this?
No.
Stephen Greer apparently got accused of faking a UFO sighting off the coast of, I think, Jupiter or West Palm Beach, Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, he apparently, allegedly hired a plane to go drop flares in the direction that they were manifesting contact with extraterrestrials.
Really?
Yep.
Some people would say that'd be hard to pull off. Like, hey, how would they know? Because that's one of the things I've seen before, where it's like, how would they be able to, call somebody on a phone or text them to launch the drone so it comes over the horizon or whatever it is that they say, and show up. It's weird, dude. But the fact that aliens have been linked to the occult, you have Parsons in the Florida connection there, which he also, when L. Ron Hubbard stole his boat and his wife and sailed off the coast of Miami, Parsons conjured up some spirit of the ocean.
Yeah. Also, Aleister Crowley had family in Melbourne. He went to go, or Titusville, either Melbourne or Titusville. He went to go stay with his family in Titusville. Jim Morrison is from Melbourne, and Jim Morrison really liked Aleister Crowley. We do know that. So,
whoa. So, again, Florida #2 UFO sightings. Maybe it's because. Go ahead.
Can you put up my screen again, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else?
Oh, they look the same, kind of.
Dude, are they not the same? Almost the same, like the same creature? This is, for those who don't know, Steve Greer, Dr. Steve Greer. He's the guy who has the app where you can call UFOs down to hang out with your friends.
UFO
Okay.
Uber.
Yeah. And he promotes like all these meditations, and a lot of people say it's demon magic. Okay, stay away from this stuff. It's garbage. Some people swear by it, but whatever. He looks like a reptilian, the Dr. Stephen Greer guy. This is Bob Lazar on screen right now. Bob Lazar is like the Area 51 guy, I think, or something like that. He claims he worked on these craft. He saw bodies. Okay. This guy looks like a fucking reptilian too. I mean, are we all just going to ignore this?
No, I never focused on it, dude. I never looked at these guys like that, but it makes sense. Is it because you think that they might be right of these? What was it in the movie Cocoon that they were Andrians, whatever they're called?
Antarians, yeah.
You think maybe it's kind of like sort of the same thing, wearing a skin suit and kind of counseling around and being an ambassador for these entities, kind of sort of down here. And dude, it could 100% be demonic in nature. If you're contacting things outside of your realm of knowledge, right, that's beyond you apparently, because you can call it forth from your consciousness, that's magic, right? With a K. You're doing magic.
Bob Lazar, Lazarus.
Yeah.
From the underworld, you know.
Ooh.
Back from the dead, you know, rejuvenated, risen from the dead. Lazar. And dude, he's got the same look as Stephen Greer and everything. And you know who else looks like this? Stephen King. Stephen King, same way. He's all into this terrible stories. Not as much. He might be a different species of alien, to be honest, but almost the same, right? He was kind of fat. He was kind of fat for a little.
Almost
dude.
As if, hear me out for 1 second. Because, we talk a lot about different things about your diet and all that stuff, but like, what about your spiritual diet or your mental diet, where if you're putting out this sort of demonic, grotesque stuff, and I believe that it starts to manifest physically on the person. Right?
Yes.
So if you're talking about reptilians and aliens all the time, you start to look like a reptilian, alien entity, because that's your identity. Like, that's what you're known for, right?
Man, these motherfucking white people, man, they was invented in a laboratory, man.
Hey,
these are Yakubian hybridized wild men, beast men. My cracker?
Isn't albinoism like a genetic disorder?
Man, they all aliens, man.
Yeah, dude, I never focus on these guys, but it's the same ones over and over again. They
Eric,
look
man,
like the alien in the Cocoon.
what about him? Talk about thoughts and actions molding the face.
That was in Florida too, wasn't it?
I think it was California. They were planning on moving to Florida, I think was the thing. But he kind of looks like that too, a little bit. Not a lot.
Yeah, Beverly Hills, California. My bad. Yeah, it's
It's like their
Menendez brothers.
Yeah, it's like their skin suit isn't on quite properly.
Yikes! What was the show that that had the aliens watching the reality TV of Earth? Was that The Simpsons or something or other like that?
South Park had one like
South
that.
Park and something else. But it seems like that, right? Like they're orchestrating, and it goes back to the biblical story of these entities dabbling in human affairs and being involved to a certain extent in human affairs. And
Right.
I believe that if they are as powerful as they say, if they can live forever and all this stuff, that they would assume positions of power where they could influence the masses and a large groups of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd even lump Brogan into that too. He kind of looks like a, little homunculus. Who's this guy?
Like the Apple co-founder. He's pretty fat, so it's hard to tell. People are saying he's like a pre-human.
Is he the one that priced it at 666 with 66 cents, the first Apple computer?
I don't know. Here we go.
I think he's the one that priced it at that 666.
Yeah.
66 cents. Because he liked repeating numbers. Out of all the numbers, you had to choose the number of the beast.
Case closed, guys. Fucking reptilian.
Let me confirm you real quick right here.
Illuminati confirmed.
It's a wrap.
Dr. Stephen Queer.
What else you got, dude? Other than can't get. I want to make. I wonder if someone's made a compilation of Greer licking his lips. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
do it.
I'm not making that up. By the way, guys, go look up. Go watch him. Maybe he had some chapstick on that interview. Maybe I was thinking of another interview. He licks his lips like crazy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not the frequency of how many times he does it. It's how wet he leaves his lips is disgusting. His mouth is so wide and he just leaves it so wet.
Oh,
It's like a slobbery amphibian.
the
Okay.
Dolphins love it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay. That's all I got, I think.
So
They got, we all the alien sightings in Florida. I guess we didn't get to talk about them leaving in the mothership. That's like the whole cult,
yes.
How many cults end like that? Oh, the mothership's here to get us, guys. Time to commit suicide. Oh, the mothership's here to get us, guys. Everyone drink the Kool-Aid.
Cut your balls off. Yeah, there's ones that made them cut their balls off too.
So a lot of cults in Florida. The Coruscant Unity wasn't too far away, probably. From here, they were into immortality. They believed they had the secret to immortality. They believed they lived on the inside of a spherical universe. But what else? What else is there to talk about?
I think we touched on pretty much Atlantis, Fountain of Youth, aliens, and for the next one, we're going to be doing the phosphate documentary interview with Eric Crown, exposing this huge, legitimate conspiracy within our beautiful state that they're trying to cover up, these big corporations. So I'm looking forward to that. You want to add anything else?
I'm just looking for the crawfish and salamander screenshots of those claims that I want to substantiate.
They wiped it from your hard drive, dude. They didn't want you to get too close to the truth.
I mean, they might have.
Because the salamanders hold the secrets. Wasn't it a salamander that talked to Joseph Smith? Right? Didn't he talk to a salamander? You know about that?
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think he talked to a salamander or something. Let's see here. Joseph Smith and the salamander. Pretty sure it was a salamander. Salamander letter. Yeah. So the salamander letter presented a view, forged document. Was it by an actual salamander though? Oh yeah. So according to the letter, when Smith dug up the plates, a salamander appeared, which transformed itself into a spirit that refused to give Smith the plates unless his brother Alvin Smith was also present. I think the problem was that his brother was dead. So this would have been very difficult as Alvin was dead at the time of the alleged appearance. This reference may have been an attempt by Hoffman to associate the recovery of the gold plates to a rumor that Alvin's grave was dug up by Smith's family to use Alvin's remains in a magical ceremony. Whoa. Wow. Hoffman's use of a salamander drew up legends about certain animals having supernatural powers. Hoffman may have been inspired by the early anti-Mormon book, Mormonism Unveiled, which claimed a toad-like animal was rumored to have appeared to Smith in conjunction with the recovery of the plates. Bizarre. Yeah. Talking salamanders, dude.
I'm gonna have these. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have these pulled up next time we go live.
Do it.
I've got a picture of them, but
do it. It's okay, bro. I believe you. That's all that matters. We got immortal salamanders in Florida because of the Florida Springs. I believe it. Look at him searching away.
Yeah, whatever. We'll have it next time.
All good, dude. Yeah, go to the folder marked salamander.
All right, another time. But I'm telling the truth on that. Salamander and crawfish that can each live to 100 years, much longer than ones that live elsewhere. And they're blind and like albino, like translucent. But we'll talk about it next time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Go check out Juan's channel if you haven't already. TJOJP, the one-on-one podcast. And what else is there?
That's it, dude. We'll be back next week, Thursday, same time, to talk about phosphate, a conspiracy. We're going to be busting it wide open, dude. We're going to go deep, and it's going to be very interesting with the guy who wrote and shot the documentary. So I'm excited for that one. Make sure to tune into that.
All right, guys.
Good?
Yep. Everyone have a good night. Peace.
Later, man.